Welcome to this week's episode of the Compliance Digest, presenting topics on all things compliance related. My name's Alex Krenke, and joining me again this week is Mackenzie Nold, the Account Executive Manager here at Quest CE. Mackenzie, welcome back.
Thanks.
This week, we're going to talk about an article that was posted in Investment News and otherwise has been coming up throughout most of 2013 and again, a lot of the conferences that were going on in 2013. So we're going to be talking about BrokerCheck, specifically as it relates to a FINRA proposal that they want to have it posted on member firms' websites and then on social media communications. So this is not a new issue, but this is a re-proposal, so we wanted to revisit it today and then uncover any new findings. So Mackenzie, where does BrokerCheck currently stand and in regards to promoting awareness for the tool?
Sure. So currently, brokers are simply required to provide in writing on an annual basis the BrokerCheck hotline information so that their customers can reach out if need be. And they're also required to provide the FINRA website to their client base as well. It's pretty basic right now. That's been the requirement for a while. But the issue now is a debate that's been going on for, I would say, the last year, whether or not to pass a new proposal that will actually require brokerage firms to post a direct link to the BrokerCheck database on any of their member websites, also in any types of online communications, and basically anywhere where a broker's profile or personal information is posted or available online.
This is a topic we talked about last April. FINRA originally had this proposal and it didn't go through. So what were some of the reasons that the first proposal just didn't stick?
Some of the reasons that the proposal wasn't very successful originally was that it was just too vague in general, and it was also too costly. It was too vague in the sense that there weren't really clear definitions of which social media sites were going to be covered by this requirement and which weren't. And it also wasn't really practical for the way that we all use online communications today. So, for example, there's certain aspects of social media sites like posting a message. And some of these sites have certain field or character requirements that wouldn't make it very practical for someone to have to include that BrokerCheck link within the message as well if they perhaps hit the character limitation for the field. Things like that, where the original proposal just didn't really fit with the way that we use internet communications today.
And then one of the unintended consequences that I know a lot of people didn't factor in, and certainly we didn't think about, was the financial impact this would have not only on brokers themselves and broker dealers, but also on FINRA. So walk us through some of those.
Well, basically, any time that someone has to update their website, there's going to be a cost involved. That's going to be more significant for the smaller firms, but regardless, it's still going to be a cost for anyone who needs to update their corporate site. Also, the amount of time and energy to actually manage and monitor this requirement is a little bit more time consuming than I think it was originally intended to be for firms' compliance teams. So they actually need to, take time out of their day and monitor and manage a plan to make sure that this is being, carried forth and managed properly. And then lastly, FINRA is definitely anticipating an increase in requests for brokers to have their disciplinary history expunged, which is a costly process. So, I think that makes sense that would be a factor in this proposal, especially if FINRA is looking to publicize or make the BrokerCheck database more available to the public. Then people are going to want to try to have their history cleared if at all possible.
So where does the requirement stand now? How have these revisions been making this rule more feasible to actually being passed by FINRA?
Well, just this month, FINRA actually revised their proposal, and they do want to go and move forward with this requirement. They've made a few modifications to it that make it a little more feasible for it to happen, but they'd like to move forward with it. They think it's a good idea to, make the public have a clearer, easier access to information, the disciplinary history of their brokers and brokerage firms, so that they can make an educated and fully thought out decision. So they have made a few changes to the requirement as opposed to what was initially proposed last year. For example, the version that came out last week did not mention including a link to the individual broker's BrokerCheck page. It was just more implying that the brokerage firm in general, the link to that needed to be provided. So that's a slight modification from last year. And also, the new proposal did not apply the rule to any interactive electronic forums such as Twitter. So that's also a big change that I think is going to make this new proposal a lot less invasive than was originally anticipated.
Right. So it's baby steps in the direction of where they originally proposed it back last year in April.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that that's a good point. It is more feasible now that it's not as invasive, and certainly the financial repercussions won't be seen when you're not posting the direct link to the individual. You won't see all these arbitrations now taking place. So I think that what we can tell now is that this issue isn't a dead issue from FINRA. They do want this one to go through. I know that they brought it up at a few of the conferences that we've attended in summer at SILA, and then at NSCP, they talked about BrokerCheck and how they want that tool to be more accessible to the public. So I would anticipate this one going through, actually. So Mackenzie, I do want to thank you for stopping by today and talking about BrokerCheck and this new proposal. We do appreciate it. And again, this is an ongoing issue. So as it comes closer to resolution, we will keep you updated. Thank you for joining us this week, and we will see you again in another couple weeks for another episode of the Compliance Digest.